An awesome sideline gig to be part of this past Sunday night in Seattle as the Seahawks punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. Ross, how you doing today?
Ross.
Awesome, guys. How you guys doing?
Well, I mean, we're trying to figure out what the hell's going on here, Ross. We can't get an offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll is headed to Tennessee, and we know the Eagles have cast a very wide net. Ross, if you had to kind of try to figure out or recklessly speculate what this is. I mean, there's a lot of different options here, right? The Eagles are casting a wide net. There's the potential that maybe this job isn't quite as attractive as we think it is. And then maybe there's 3 or 4 or 5 other things. Ross, if you had to guess, what do you think is going on to why the Eagles' reported top candidates are not coming, and now we're on to names that we hadn't even thought of before?
I think there's a lot to this. First of all, I would tell Eagles fans, I would not, and you guys, I would not be freaking out at all yet. And I'll tell you why. Number one, all these reports of like Declan Doyle and Charlie Weiss Jr. withdrawing their names, 95% of the time when a guy withdraws from a search, it's because they know they're not going to get the job. And their agent tells them to withdraw. You're not going to get it because it sounds better if you withdraw than if you just are passed up. It's like, you can't break up with me. I'm breaking up with you. So I don't care about these guys withdrawing their names, especially when it feels like the Eagles have already talked to almost 20 guys. So a couple of guys that realize they're not going to get it because they're not even getting a second interview, like this Mannion guy is getting. Well, if you're not getting a second interview, you might want to withdraw because they're pretty much telling you that you're not going to get it. That's number one. Number two, and this is something that the Eagles have done historically, which I think is very smart. They bring in people from outside of football, like Andrew Berry and now his twin brother Adam Berry, and they recognize the value in getting to talk with these guys. These are the brightest young offensive minds in the NFL, coming from some incredible organizations. Doyle was with Ben Johnson. Mannion obviously has been with LaFleur. Why not pick their brains? Other businesses, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultants to come in and say, what's wrong with our business? How can we improve? Well, the Eagles are getting that for free, for a plane ticket for some of these guys. And they're getting these guys to tell them the latest trends on the offensive side of the ball, what the Eagles did that they thought was bad, and what the Eagles could do to improve, what they would do if they were the Eagles offensive coordinator. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. Is there a chance that they wanted McDaniel and Daboll and didn't get them? That's possible. But if that's the case, that those are your top 2 guys, you're not going to get them. It's not like any of these other guys are like, oh my gosh, you got to get that guy. So why not talk to a lot of guys and figure out which one you think is best after that? If you guys, I can't remember, Hugh, I don't think you were. Joe, you might have been. But Doug Peterson was ranked last on all the head coaching lists.
Sirianni, too.
Sirianni last. And Sirianni was also the last one hired. And Sirianni's opening press conference was not good. All the guy's done is win. And the Eagles' track record with hiring coaches in general, especially from the outside, as opposed to some of the internal promotions, is very, very good. And ultimately, you know what the truth is, guys? It doesn't matter at all who they don't get. It only matters who they do get and how that guy does. I mean, if the guy they bring, I don't care what his name is. I don't care what his background is. If he comes in and does a great job, that's awesome. If he comes in and stinks, he's going to be fired, and it's going to be really, really bad.
Ross, I have a question. Like, we've been kind of bannering this around a little bit. Full autonomy. And we all think it's something different. You've been around the Eagles, and you do the preseason games and all that stuff. When you hear full autonomy and when it's coming from the Eagles, do you think that's exactly what it means, or does it come with a caveat?
That is an excellent question, Hugh.
Every now and then I
want to know does full autonomy mean you can structure the offense however you want and call whatever you want and bring in whatever offensive assistant coaches you want? That's like fully full autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that they're telling the offensive coordinator candidates? Do I think they're telling Declan Doyle that he could fire Jeff Stoutland? No, definitely not. So I think that they're offering these guys autonomy in terms of the scheme and in terms of game planning, but I don't know if that's the same as full autonomy in terms of who they get to hire on the offensive coaching staff. But even that is interesting because, I think Kellen Moore basically ran the Eagles' offense last year. Like, I don't think he changed. I might be wrong about this. I don't think Kellen Moore came in and changed the language that the Eagles were using. I think he learned the Eagles' language and molded his play calling to what the Eagles had already been doing.
Mm-hmm.
With Stoutland being the run game coordinator, that's interesting because does he still have control over the run game, or does the new coordinator get to come in and change that? I'm guessing that those are very much part of the conversations that they're having.
Ross, so we started this conversation with two of the bigger names that have gone other places, right? Mike McDaniel last week, we found out it was the Chargers. And then just a few minutes ago, Brian Daboll is headed to the Titans. That's now official. That was reported as their top two candidates. And Ross, I think to a person, we all can understand the idea of McDaniel taking the Chargers job, right? Justin Herbert, whether or not he's accomplished more, he's very talented, and Jalen Hurts, they've been on the same kind of level in terms of same draft class and kind of parallel paths. I understand that, though. I think most people do, choosing Herbert, if that was it. Are you surprised? Like, if Brian Daboll had a choice, if the Eagles wanted him, and he chose Tennessee with a very unproven Cam Ward and not much else around them to work with. If that played out that way, would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't, because I think Daboll is smart enough to know that in Tennessee, there's really nowhere to go but up. They stink, Joe. I mean, they've been really bad the last couple years, arguably the worst team in the NFL. So if he believes in Cam Ward even a little bit, they go there and he can get the offense to be middle of the league. They win 6 or 7 games next year, let alone 8 or 9. Daboll is being treated as a hero, and Daboll gets all the credit for having a young quarterback develop into a good player, which, by the way, is how Daboll gets his next head coaching gig. Because most of the time, the teams looking for head coaches are drafting high in the draft. They want a guy that can work with a young quarterback. And Daboll can now say, look what I did with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Look what I did with Jackson Dart a little bit his rookie year. Now look what I did with Cam Ward. That's a better selling point than going to Philadelphia, where you can definitely go down. I mean, it's a tough spot. It's not like there's nowhere to go but up in Philly. And even if he had success in Philly, what would people say? Would they give Daboll most of the credit, or would they say, yeah, well, I mean, they have such a good team, such a good roster, and, you know, they were bad the year before because they had that Patullo guy. It's not like Daboll's that great. These guys are very aware of the best way to get their next head coaching gig, or the best way to be perceived nationally. And I think Daboll realizes he has a better chance to get another head coaching gig by taking Cam Ward and the Titans from bad to good than trying to get the Eagles back to the Super Bowl, because they just did it. They just did it last year.